back to Inner Compass, the podcast where we delve into the complex interaction of addiction, recovery, and social normalization of substance. I am Harshdeep, your host. Today we are going to do our final and the third episode of this series, Navigating Drug Normalization and Addiction, where we are exploring a perspective that often overlooked, what it's like to work in a alcohol retail and witness the effects of substance normalization firsthand. Today we are joined by Bobin Johnson, and who will share his unique insights while working in a alcohol retail, the responsibility it carries, and its broader impact on individual and communities. It's a conversation about accountability, empathy, and finding solution together. Let's dive into it. First of all, I would like to thank Bobin for joining us today on the Inner Compass. We are looking forward to hearing your experience and perspective around the drug normalization and its addiction, right? To start with, could you tell us about your experience at the alcohol retail and how what drew you to joining this job, and what has your journey been like in this line of work?
For me, first of all, I would like to say thank you for having me, and it's been an honor so far. So far, it's been good working in the industry, and I would like to say my experience so far in the industry. There are different trends that's going on. Like I used to see people. I mean, it's close to a year that I've been there, and I see regular customers coming in. And I see summer being the hot spot of the season for more beers to be sold. And we do get the odd customers and the troubles that they make, which is uncomfortable for the staff, the people around us, and everybody else. So yeah, let's go more into that.
Okay, so you mentioned the troubles they make, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a person, as a staff there, how you interact with them while in that situation?
So whenever we have somebody underage or 19, that is first scenario.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a doubt that this person looks young, we ID them. So we ID them and check their age, and if they say we don't have an ID, we return. Like we say no, we cannot serve you beer. We assume that you're still underage and we cannot do anything about it. And the second odd trouble that I would say is people who are on prescription drugs or on fentanyl or any other drug, because there is a distinct smell that we would clearly identify if that person is on drugs or if they're on alcohol. Like, how a sanitizer smells, but there's a different kind of odor when they consume this, and it is clear. If you can ask the staff, we'll let you know, which I don't know if it's scientifically documented or not, but this is the fact. And when we have people like that, and if they behave normal, they don't cause any trouble, they're clearly in their 40s, 50s, facial features, and they don't cause any trouble to anybody, and if they're a regular customer, we do serve them. At the odd times, they're not. They are very uptight. They keep repeating themselves, which I've seen is a red flag. They keep repeating themselves over and over again, and they tend to ask people outside for money, and we've had to ask the cops to come in and intervene. That can be troublesome for us to deal with. And in one of the recent episodes in one of our stores, somebody was stabbed, and they threatened to stab as well. Then they proceeded, and the police was there, and they had to open fire, and which a person lost his life, and which is unfortunate. So you can see from where they take taking drugs, coming to the store for a beer, maybe for relaxing, or they just want it right that point of time. They feel they want it, and they come and they get it. And if they're too intoxicated, we don't serve them when we feel that, so we don't serve them. And when that happens, they just grab a few beers and they walk out, which is even fine. But when they start, emotionally driven and causing trouble, that's when it's a headache.
Okay. So I have some question for you, and let's dive into that.
Yeah.
So I have one question. First question is, how have you seen alcohol consumption trends changing over a time working at the store?
Over time, the trends that I've seen is, again mentioned, summer, a lot of beers sold. Winter, not a lot of beers sold. Young folks are very nice people, and if we say we don't have X but we have Y, would you want to take that? They would say, okay, let's try that. But most of them, apart from that, we do have a crowd which is regular as well. So I've seen those trends, and I've seen parents come with their children who's 19 or so. But that's the trend that I see.
Okay, so as you mentioned, parents, children there and parents come together, right?
Yes.
Do you think that's actually increase the chances of this teenagers to indulge into these activities of addiction?
Well, I would say everything's fine, but let me just screencast right now. Okay. 9, Yep, that's alright. But I would say it's alright for the most part, because what is legal and what can be a factor is variable for a lot of people. Like if you see in some cultures, they give intoxicating mushrooms to kids, or if you go to Romania or Russia or Slovenia, they put their kids in cradles and they put them out during winter so that they can survive winter. So there are different trends. And over in the West, like here, I'm from a different background, so I'm from the West, I'm from the East. So, and the West here, we see people having different set of values, and that's all right as long as it's monitored, as long as they have a parental figure saying, I have my coworker who said my daughter is turning 19 December 8th, so her first drink will be on me and my sister. So that is a very good introduction. At the same time, if you're having a peer pressure in school telling the cool kids are doing it and I'm not, and I want to do it, that's a wrong way to go about it. It depends upon how you're being introduced to it. I say the kids that come in with their parents are going to be fine, far better than the kids who are doing it without the parents knowing it.
Okay, so what are some of the signs of dependency that you have noticed in the customers, while working in a
While
store?
working, I have noticed dependency on multiple factors. Let's get that out. Yeah, that can be true. Dependency on customers. Dependency on customers, I've seen they're regular and they come as soon as possible, and as soon as the store opens, I think we're gonna give up on that. Fine. Yeah. The regular, they come as soon as the store opens, and they repeat themselves what they're talking, and they have a lot of spare change. They don't come with extra money, they come with exact change, or try to confuse us, giving all loonies to, not even loonies, toonies, dimes and nickels just to confuse us so that they get the beer. That is one. If somebody comes, dressed shabbily, and I'm not lying about this. You get on the ground level, ask the store guys, dress shabbily, they have an order, They repeat themselves. They come with a lot of change, nickels and dimes, and get like 4 or 5 beers. Uh, that's like a very telltale sign. And if they're irregular as well, so we have to be cautious about them. If they're irregular, if they're regulars, we still know them and we have familiarity with them and we still serve them.
Okay, so as you mentioned some signs, right? They try to confuse you, right?
Yes.
So isn't it a bad sign that they are indulging a lot of into the drugs or in the alcohol?
Clearly, I wouldn't say alcohol or hard whiskey or high content spirits. I would say that is a byproduct as far as I've seen. When you're on prescribed drugs or non-prescribed drugs, that is off the street, you are more on the upbeat, you're more active. Whereas in the other case, if you're on alcohol and you drink too much, you're gonna sleep somewhere. You're just gonna be at a place. You won't get up and move. That is one. Yeah, those are the signs. I would say. I would say the dependency comes after using such drugs.
So,
And also to compare, the question was about. Can you repeat the question?
yeah, like you mentioned these signs, right?
Yeah.
That they show.
Yeah.
I wanna ask, like, is it a bad impact, right? It is a bad sign.
Oh yeah, definitely bad impact. Especially there are people who come to the store and disturb the people who disturb the customers. They come into the store. They might get the beer. They might not get served the beers, or they would just walk away. They come in and they just would walk away, and they would ask people outside for money, and we would have to call the cops. Or before we call the cops, we just have to tell them, "Hey, Mr. Lady, we don't encourage this here. Please walk away." They don't listen to that. We call the cops, and we have called the cops, and we have people at the store that we have banned. Yeah.
Okay, so as a worker in a beer store, right? So what is your responsibility? What is your take on such kind of activities that is happening around us, especially with the teenagers?
Teenagers, I've had very little negative experience with teenagers. One being, they don't get served beer if they're not 19 or 90 over 19. They don't get served beer if they're over 19. And I've had very little negative experience with them. It mostly comes with people with a dependency or an addiction towards off the street drugs.
Okay. So my next question is, how do you think communities can better support individuals struggling with substance abuse?
Oh, there are a lot of resources available, like Inn of the Good Shepherd, or communities like that, where the only rule that I've heard so far, which is in cemented, you cannot consume any off the street drug while you're in there, and people who are addicted to it, they want it. So it's a matter of willpower. If you want to stop it, go lead a good life. You have to stop taking it. All right, and we have very good establishments. The government is doing a lot of funding to these people and trying to rehabilitate them, trying to do fix housing for them, all those things. That comes on a social infrastructure. Apart from being a social infrastructure side, they need people who they can depend on, like family. Go back to your family, go back to your friends who would watch your back. Those two factors, having a social infrastructure which is already set in place, and also your family and friends who would genuinely care about you and ask help. It's okay to ask help.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Let's dive into diverting our conversation towards our main topic, that is the inner compass itself.
Yeah.
So we want to know what your take on the inner compass theme, like how we can align this drug normalization and addiction that is happening around us. How can a person direct themselves to be a better person?
So if you're asking me if before a person gets into drugs, I would say, like for someone like me, I am not interested. I don't have any family drama, any trouble. I do have family drama, but on school, that's all part of life. And most of the people who are in this state is because they had a very rough upbringing. For someone who is not already into it, just observe and see what's happening around you, and don't lose yourself. That is one. For somebody who's already in it, I can only offer help, and I would tell them it's okay to ask help. Like there is no sobriety without relapse, and it's okay to relapse. It's fine. It's not the end of the world, and that's your journey to being another functioning person in society.
Okay. Thank you for your insights. Could you give us your last thoughts on how, like, any inspiring and motivating thing you wanna told to our listeners?
I wouldn't say inspiring thing. I've always heard this cliche saying, if you want to be the change, you gotta be the change. If you want to help somebody, you gotta help yourself. Notice what you're doing. Don't fall prey to it, which is easier said than done. And help yourself first, help people around you, be there for people who have always been for you, and have a good life.
So thank you for joining us on the Inner Compass today, and where we are exploring the complexity of addiction recovery and the social normalization of substance. We hope today's conversation with Bobin Johnson has given you a new perspective, maybe even a sense of hope or a call to compassion. At Team Employee Involvement, we believe that awareness and empathy is crucial in building strong and more resilient communities. So if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, we encourage you to seek help and to know the support is out there. Remember, every journey is unique, and sometimes all it takes is one conversation to start finding your way. I would like to thank you again for listening to the Inner Compass. We hope you all join us next time as we continue navigating life's challenges together. Until then, take care, stay safe, and remember, we are all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you.